It means just 3 points are required for Liverpool to claim that 20th league title in just their second of the Premier League era. Arne Slot's side will be champions if Arsenal lose to Crystal Palace on Wednesday. Then if not, it will be in their own hands. They will have to win against Spurs next Sunday. And then it's 4 games after that to try and get those 3 points. In the race for Champions League qualification, Newcastle stay third for now. They're just ahead of City and Chelsea, but Forest play away at Spurs this evening. Forest out of the top 6, but if they win there, they'll go into third and push Enzo Maresca's side out of that all-important 5th spot. All kinds of situations there. But at the other end of the table, Leicester joined Southampton yesterday in being officially relegated from the Premier League for the 5th time in their history. Ipswich will officially join them if they fail to win at Newcastle on Saturday, or if West Ham pick up a point or better away at Brighton on the same day. Wolves' win against Manchester United means they join them on 38 points, same as Everton as well. If Spurs were to win against Forest this evening, they would climb to 13th. It is all change. And the thing is as well, particularly we look in that bottom half, Man United and Spurs have got European competition. There are also teams in the battle for European places who are in European competition. It is complicated at this stage of the season. We've got double barrels today. We've got Sean Wright-Phillips and Flo Lloyd-Hughes with us. But Wrighty, we have to start with the latest in the title race. Should we talk about it chronologically and start with the Arsenal game, because that was the performance of a team that were absolutely focused on getting the job done and making it last as long as it can. Yeah,
and to be honest, seeing Saka playing, obviously with the tackle, you was a bit worried about him, but you was seeing Saka playing, seeing Declan Rice playing, seeing Saliba playing. You know, you're just hoping that they would get through it with no injuries, because I think that's what's important with this game and with the Palace game coming. But I just thought that in respects of a focus and a professional job, as poor as Ipswich were, we saw a lot of spaces, I thought it was a really, really good performance from Arsenal. You know, I think he's done very well with us in the way that, you know, he just keeps people concentrating no matter what's going on, the injuries, the referees. He's just kept everybody focused at a time of the season now where they need to be locked in.
They need to be locked in because they need that momentum, because their season-defining moments will come in these semi-finals and possibly afterwards in the Champions League. They've got Paris Saint-Germain to come. Is this, in terms of like the team selection, as much about keeping that momentum going?
Yeah, I think it's a massive part of it. I think if you go back to when your Cities or your Liverpools have done well within that Champions League, their league form has kind of carried on, and you always need that confidence. So when Trossard is scoring goals and Nwaneri scores goals, and you want them to carry that confidence into the game as well. And if they're not playing, that confidence doesn't build in the way that he might want it. So although we're all sitting there thinking that Declan and Saka should have been rested, maybe it's an adrenaline thing to keep them going the way they're going.
And maybe even just to get the minutes in for Bukayo Saka in particular, who missed such a long time out with injury.
Yeah, I think the issue with a player like Saka as well is that he is brought down a lot because of the player he is, because he makes things happen, and he's a dangerous player, so opposition players do target him. And I think that's the risk that I think a lot of fans get nervous about. And obviously there wasn't a great challenge on him at the weekend, ended up being a red card for it. But that's the risk you run, because more so than most, he's going to get challenged and brought down because he creates so many problems.
Are there players at the moment, and I'm thinking maybe even of Kivior, who Arsenal fans have been a bit nervous about, who are putting in some really solid performances?
I think the nervousness came in the Champions League when Bayern Munich came and Leroy Sané really smoked him down that side. And then ever since then, he's been in and out. And then for Gabriel Magalhaes to get the injury he got at that time, and he's the one that we are depending on. You know, obviously, Calafiori's not available. You know, you would worry. You would worry, and you would worry simply because of the players he's coming up against and the level of the pressure at this stage of the season for him. But, you know, up to this point, he's dealt with it unbelievably. You know, he's come in and he's kind of proven himself that, you know, he is good enough to be there. You know, he might have been caught out a few times and he's made a couple of mistakes, but when we've needed him in this stage, he's come through. The squad has come through for Mikel in that respect.
Yeah, there's so many kind of nailed-on starters in that Arsenal 11, and they know that they're going to be featuring in that first leg against Paris Saint-Germain a week on Tuesday, tomorrow it is. But if there are spaces that are going to be a little more undecided, where there are opportunities for players, where do you think they're looking?
I would say normally the left with Arsenal, because they seem to switch Trossard and Martinelli up. And I think, although Martinelli breaks really quickly on a counter-attack, I feel like away from home, Trossard might be a better person to go with in terms of the goals that he gets, the possession. He remains and keeps the possession very well, but then on the flip side, Arsenal lose that out pass as well. So that one's normally always up for grabs, I think. And you never know who's going to start up front at the minute, because it might be Moreno, or he might try something a little bit different and be cute about it.
I think that first half probably looks like the team that will without Partey, that might start the game. But like I think with Martinelli, we're starting to see that Martinelli again, that energised, sharp, quick Martinelli. That his form is coincided. His form came back when Calafiori came back. He seemed to get more in the game with Calafiori coming inside and maybe going outside. He'd come inside and he had more to play off, like what Saka's got with Erdegaard and whether it's White or Jura Timber. But I think that I would like to see probably Martinelli continue to play. I think the left side, I do believe that at some stage they might be looking for a left back as well, because you know that Lewis-Skelly can probably go into that midfield and he could prop that up, and then we need somebody who's going to be on that left 8 to keep activating Martinelli, because in this kind of form, I'm not sure there's many defenders that can deal with him. So we need to keep that going. I hear what you're saying with Trossard, and it's right, especially in games like this. Yeah, he keeps the ball well, he scores, he gets himself in the box. But I do believe that Martinelli's the one that's going to be the main force.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how the rest of the season plays out for Arsenal in terms of the Premier League, because this is a season that is now building to the Champions League and potentially a Champions League final for them if they get past Paris Saint-Germain, and then it probably looks like it's going to be Barcelona in the final, because they'll be hot favourites for the other semi-final. But also in terms of building for next season and mounting a serious title challenge. And there will, perhaps we'll get more from Wright on that in a second, feel like with City slipping as much as they have, that there was an opportunity there for Arsenal.
Massively, and I think that the amount that they've got into the Champions League is definitely a positive for fans, because I think a lot of fans were starting to feel like maybe this season was drifting a little bit, and especially when they were drawn against Real Madrid, I think a lot of fans wouldn't have felt that confident. But those two games, I think, have really changed the feeling amongst the fan base, and now everyone's excited about what next season could bring. Obviously, they've got a new sporting director coming in as well, so there was a point of this season in which Edu had gone. They were, trailing Liverpool by some margin in the league. They were getting knocked out of cup competitions, and I think there was a bit of a, negativity starting to build, lots of injuries. But I think they've pulled that back, and that togetherness and that excitement and that confidence is back. Beating Real Madrid as comfortably as they did across two legs, and going away from home and winning as they did, I think that is a transformational result, and it is about now making sure that they spend big and recruit well in the summer, and also these players who have struggled with injuries, that they can keep them fit, because they're injuries that aren't necessarily quick fixes. Some of them could be long-term issues that they have to manage. I
think Andrea Berta's come in at the perfect time. And for us to play against Real Madrid in those two games and put on such a good performance, as much as people talk about how poorly Real Madrid played, I thought we were so organised, we were very good. We really put the game to them when we had the opportunity. And I think that if I'm a player outside of Arsenal looking to come to the Premier League, to a team that's going to be in the Champions League and challenging, just looking at what Arsenal were capable of doing in those two games, without maybe a striker, without what you're supposedly need, a new left back, another midfielder, that would make me feel like that team's going somewhere. It would be a place that would be starting to feel a little bit attractive as well, simply because the manager and his intensity in trying to win the league, trying to win the Champions League, and it feels like it's an exciting prospect. I think that the Real Madrid game really set off alarm bells everywhere for people saying that's a serious team. If we can really get it sorted properly. And I think the manager's the right guy to do it. We've just got to have patience with him, everybody.
Does it feel like the club are and the players are in a really good position as they go into Wednesday night game against Crystal Palace? Is that the kind of focus they can take into that situation where Palace are going to have their eye on a cup semi-final as well? Yeah,
and that's right, like Sean said, the momentum. Yes, you play Declan, you play Saka, obviously get minutes into Saka. You play them because you want them to keep that momentum of what they're doing, but at the same time, the main thing with the Crystal Palace result, and I'm sure Palace will be feeling the same with the semi-final, the FA Cup coming up, no injuries. You just don't want to get injuries in that game. It's going to be an interesting one to
Yeah, it could
watch.
be quite a cautious,
It could be
quite a cautious
game.
But do you know, sometimes that works against players. If they're trying not to get injured,
Yeah.
sometimes they can put themselves in difficult situations. If Arsenal do get the win or even a point against Crystal Palace in midweek, the title race will continue through to the weekend, at which point Arsenal play before Liverpool at the weekend as well, don't they?
Yes, and this is why I was saying, Kels, in the intro, it's not mathematically done.
No, not mathematically
I still think
done.
that Arsenal, what are you laughing at?
Well, listen,
I still think Arsenal's got a chance, so I'm going to hang in there.
Well, if Arsenal get the win against Crystal Palace, is it Bournemouth at the weekend on the Saturday evening?
I don't look that far.
I think,
now,
and then,
Kels,
and then Liverpool have got. Sorry, their game at the weekend is their Palace game, isn't it? So then
Liverpool got Tottenham.
So Liverpool have got Tottenham. Then I think it's Bournemouth play before Liverpool play against Chelsea the following weekend, and then Liverpool play us. So that's what I was trying to get to.
Yes,
that was
Kels,
the end point. In the meantime,
Tottenham could be the ones that help us in this situation.
Yeah.
So it's not over.
Yeah, and Tottenham fans would love to do that. That would nothing would make them happy. Look, Tottenham fans themselves need to be able to get a bit of momentum going. So that game is absolutely not a given at Anfield on Sunday, and then of course it would extend through to the game against Chelsea